Hi, Darlene again. I wrote about my dad, and I didn't realize how emotional it was going to be to write about all my ancestors. But I might cry during this one, and I know I'm going to laugh. But I've got to tell you this one. My dad, Paul Speer, loved to tell stories. He would tell the same story over and over. When I'd say, "Pop, you told me this one before," he'd say, "Yeah, well, this time I'm going to change it a little different." So this time, pay attention, in other words. And of course, it was always the same. Even the whoppers, he told, and he had some real good whoppers, he would tell the same each time. It was hard to tell sometimes which stories were really true and which were whoppers. The funny part was the more outrageous and outlandish the story, the more likely it was true. Looking back now, I believe Pop kept telling me these, oh, this is where I always cry, kept telling me these stories over and over so I'd be able to remember them. I unfortunately waited until I'm fairly old to write them down, but here they are, Dad, and I'll do my best to remember them right, so your great-grandchildren can know you too. One of my favorites was when he was 22 years old. Here's a picture of him and his brother. Well, I might show it to you later. Him and his brother Howard at that age. He was a cab driver here in Santa Rosa. You could go anywhere in Santa Rosa for a quarter, and the cab would jockey for position around the square at Railroad Square, the railroad station. One time during Prohibition, Dad had a little trouble. Not that he had clean hands, mind you. In fact, he had told me many times about the terrible tasting bathtub gin that he actually made in a bathtub. The only place big enough, that's why it was literally made in the tub and called bathtub gin. Usually, when a customer wanted a little drink, all they did was ask a cab driver. And for the 25-cent fee, plus the cost of the liquor, they would go and get it for them. Dad said that the going rate was $1 a bottle. For wine, $1.25 for the hard stuff. He said they would go out to Occidental once a week and get a couple gallon jugs of wine from the Italians for $2 or $3 a gallon, which made a tidy little profit, especially when you watered it down. So, my. I have to admit that Dad told me that somebody did tip him off earlier in the week that there were revenuers in town. And he believed that some of his competition turned them on to him. He had two guys offer him $2 for a bottle of tea. Now, as you can see, this goes way above the going rate. So that would have alerted him all by itself, and did. So anyway, he left, came back with his bottle, and gave them the $2, and they gave him the $2, and then they tried to arrest him. He goes, "What are you arresting me for?" They said, "For selling them alcohol." And he said, "What alcohol?" "You offered me $2 for a bottle of tea." And that's what you got. They tasted it, and sure enough, it was tea. Boy, were they mad. Not only did they miss an arrest, but they were out $2 for a lousy bottle of tea. But the incident made his name among the other cabbies. Don't mess with Speer.